listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing, but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Britt Colo, and I'm here today with Michaela Latavanha, owner of Beachside Studio. Thank you so much for joining me today, Michaela.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Michaela and I first met months ago, probably at least a half a year ago, somehow through a Facebook group or something. I can't even remember. I think it was a Facebook challenge. And we happened to be kind of paired in the same group, and we went back and forth and we were like, hey, I kind of like you. You're kind of cool. So we hopped on a coffee chat, and I've been following her on Instagram ever since, just staying close. And then she reached out and said, hey, let's do a podcast interview. And I was like, yeah, great idea. So I'm really excited to get some insight into her business and her industry, her marketing strategy, what makes it all tick. And she's got a really cool story of just starting Beachside Studio. So I'm excited to dive into that. So Michaela, are you ready to jump in?
Ready when you are.
All right, let's do this. Okay. So first of all, tell us, how do you earn your living?
Okay, so I am the owner of Beachside Studio. It's a web design studio that creates client-grabbing websites for coaches and service providers. So we ensure that your website doesn't drop the ball. You know, a lot of my clients come to me and they are doing a lot of blogging and they're on social media and they're driving a lot of traffic to their website, but that's not turning into any inquiries or any email list signups or anything like that. Or I also have clients who come to me that are so embarrassed about the state of their website that they don't even want to put it on their business card. You know, it's kind of like they hand over their business card and they go like, oh, don't look at my website. You know, it's still under construction kind of thing. So we make sure that the website is not just pretty, but one that gets the ideal clients to take action, you know, whether that is signing up or booking an inquiry call or whatever the case might be.
I really like that phrase, client grabbing, that you just said. That is so important. And while your websites that you do build are gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous. I love your website. It's just, as soon as I get on your website, I like calm down. It's just so nice. And, well, if you guys go to her website, you got to know Michaela lives on the beach and I live in like gray old Pennsylvania. So anytime I get to her website, I'm just like, yes, the beach. But beside that, that's such a common thing that I hear. You know, they get, especially coaches, service-based business owners, get their website up and, you know, people are coming to the website, but nothing's really happening. The inquiries aren't happening. So that client grabbing of what you do is so smart and so needed. So take us back. I want the full story. Tell us the story of how you came to do this with your life and do web design and development at Beachside Studio.
Okay, yeah. So I guess my journey starts when I went to college. So I went to college and I went to advertising college. So the college itself specialized in marketing and advertising. So I studied visual communication. I specialized in visual communication. And what that means is I studied how to visually communicate messages and get people to buy things. So, you know, how to create packaging for a product that will get noticed on the shelf and, you know, try and get people to take that product above the one next to it. So, so that's what I studied. And it was an awesome course to take, or awesome college to go to, because I got to work in a team. I got to work with marketers, I got to work with copywriters, and they really prepared us for the real world, what it's like working for an agency, all the things that go along with creating advertising and marketing tactics that sells. So I did that. And then they encourage us, or they actually tell us to do it. It's not actually an option to go do an internship in our final year at a big agency. And I did that, and I was there, and I just hated it. Like, it was really just awful. I had to work on projects that just didn't, went against who I am and morally who I am. I didn't agree with it at all. And I realized if I go into this industry, and if I don't work for myself, I won't be able to pick and choose who I work for. So I just decided this is not for me. And I actually, at that point, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to start my own business or not. It was a small little thought in my mind. But at that moment, I actually thought perhaps I studied the wrong thing. Maybe this whole industry is not for me. So then by that time, I was already a scuba diver. So my mom suggested, why don't I, get my scuba diving instructor's qualification and then go travel around the world for a little bit and work as a scuba diver, at different spots. So then that's what I did. So I actually traded design work to get my scuba diving qualifications, because I didn't have the money to pay for it. So I kind of traded with a scuba diving school, traded with them. And then I ended up in the Bahamas and working for a cruise ship. And they actually own the entire island. So then they put a bunch of staff members on the island. And then every day the cruise ship comes, and about 2,000 to 3,000 people enjoy the island for the day. And then they carry on with their cruise. So ended up working there. And then I met my husband there, and he's Brazilian. So then I fell in love with him. And I followed him back to Brazil. We got married, and I followed him back to Brazil. And then when I got to Brazil, I wasn't able to speak Portuguese well enough to actually get a job here. So I was kind of sitting at home wondering, what am I going to do now? Like, I can't really get a job here. What's my options? And then I discovered a website called Elance, and now it's called Upwork. But back then it was Elance. And I realized that I can actually offer my design services virtually. So I can get clients online. So then that's what I started. I started with Elance, and I got my first client that way. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed into me eventually starting my own business. And now I'm actually starting to build my team. Now I've got one great designer working for me, and I'm actually, building it up. So that's how it's a long story.
But I love it. And where are you originally from?
Okay, so I'm originally from South Africa.
Okay, that's what I had in my head. And then I was like, wait, is that wrong? Okay. So all over the globe. That's incredible. And now you're in Brazil. And so out of the realization, like, oh, I just don't speak the language well enough to really work here, you got resourceful, you got a little scrappy, found a Wi-Fi connection, and figured it out, which I give you so much praise for. I love that. Now, you said that you started on Elance. Now it's called Upwork. I think most of our listeners are familiar with Upwork. And back then, I remember you kind of saying it was kind of like the wild, wild west, right? Like, not everybody was used to working on that platform. So I want to know, what was it like getting started there? And then what made you think, this is okay, but I want to really start my own business, my own studio, and do this in a different way? Take us through that.
Okay, yeah. So when I first started, like you were saying, it was like wild, wild west. I think right now there's a lot more talent on the website than what it was when I first started. So it was quite easy for me to find a gap in the market and find a way to stand out from other people. And back then I could also actually see somebody posts a job, and then you apply to it and you kind of write a cover letter, introduce yourself and that kind of thing. And then if they like what they see in the cover letter, then they start the conversation with you. Mm-hmm. So back then you could actually see the cover letters of the other applicants. And I actually used to read them through and kind of look at what are they saying and how can I, make myself stand out and be different. So I used my marketing skills there that I learned at college. So I did a lot of research, and I also looked at a lot of reviews. So I read the bad and the good reviews, and I was looking at what are people really looking for when they are hiring someone like me. Are they looking for really good talent, or are they looking for responsiveness or fast turnaround? What are their main pain points, and what are they trying to get solved? And that really helped me, getting in front of the people and really getting their attention and getting them to contact me. Because once they contact you, then it's kind of easy, then you kind of start the conversation, and then you just close the deal, But getting that initial, attention on you versus, because there's a lot of people that apply for one job. I mean, it's over 100 people that apply. So you really need to stand out.
Well, and I just want to interject real quick, because if you're listening right now and you're thinking, well, yeah, that's cool, but Upwork is different now. Like, that might have worked then, but what do I do now? Even if it's not on Upwork, try to see between the lines here and understand Michaela is really just laying out the foundational marketing and sales 101 of figure out how you're different and lean into that uniqueness that you already have. And then, instead of speaking about yourself first, find what the pain points are of that client, figure out what they really have a problem with, and speak into that problem. Show them that you have the solution. Again, this is basic stuff, but I think sometimes when we're hearing someone else's story, it's easy to think, well, yeah, that's cool, but that doesn't really apply to me anymore. And I have to stop and tell you, yes, it does. That's where you start. Figure out where you're unique and figure out what your client is currently struggling with. And if you can pair those together and explain that you have a solution, a unique solution to their problem, you are ahead of the curve. You're above the rest. You're going to stand out. Okay, keep telling us, okay, what took you from Eland/Upwork into I'm starting Beachside Studio?
Okay, just before I do that, I just want to add my 2 cents too. That is so true what you're saying. And there's actually people that have 6-figure business on Upwork right now, today.
Yeah.
There are guys that I know that I have 6-figure business and they're not overworked or anything. So they really are quality clients on Upwork still today. So it is very, very possible. But for me, I found that the type of clients that I really wanted to work with wasn't on Upwork. So then that's how I started moving off Upwork, and I joined Facebook groups and I started talking to my ideal client in Facebook groups and just really, chatting with them, giving them quick little solutions to their problems, not the full solutions, but like smaller little things, and then encouraging them to come and speak to me on the phone so we can talk about how can I solve the whole thing for them, not just put out the fire, how we can put out the whole fire, not just little sparks. So, that's what, and then I moved over to Facebook, and then that's how I started then building my business. And one thing that I really am proud of is that my business really offers a great client experience. And I think that alone really made it possible for me to really grow as far as I have till today, because that great client experience really gave referrals. It really, it just snowballed, and people started referring their friends and their colleagues to me. And that's how I was able to do what I'm doing now.
Can you take us into that client experience a little bit? Can you kind of tell us, what do you think really allows for the client to feel like they're getting a great, they're enjoying their experience and then they're willing to refer others to you? What is that secret sauce for you?
For me, as a designer, I think it might differ slightly from depending on what you offer. But me as a designer, it's very important that I lead my clients, that I come, you are literally buying my brain power. Yes, I've got design skills and all that, but you're buying the strategy behind it. So leading the client and showing them that you know what you are doing through every single step of the process really helps building that great client experience, because then they feel comfortable and they feel that they can completely trust you and know that you've got their back. And also another thing is just being super organized and have systems in place. That really helps me. I've got a lot of stuff that works automatically. So I just switch it on when I need it and it just rolls. And that really helps because it saves time on my end. And for the client, it's amazing because then I never get to drop the ball on them because, the stuff happens automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So, having that in place as well really, really helps with a great client experience.
Yeah. So leadership and efficiency, listeners, leadership and efficiency. If you're having trouble with your client experience, people are dropping, your clients aren't getting things back to you. They're not referring the way you would expect them to refer. Leadership and efficiency right there. Michaela, I didn't even know that that's what you're going to come up with, but that is so key. And it's so good. Okay. So now in this stage of the game, right now, we're just into the second quarter of 2018. What's working to market your business right now?
Okay, so right now, there's a lot of new things happening in my business. I am wanting to grow my business in the sense I want to add more team members to my business. So what I'm working on right now is I'm actually building a marketing funnel that can run automatically, that I just need to put perhaps some traffic in. So that could be with paid advertising or organic, that I run traffic through it. And then that actually generates the leads for me. And then when they come out at the end of the funnel, then they've already booked a call with me. So then I just jump on the call with them and close the deal. But the whole idea of this marketing funnel is to pre-qualify people as well. So by the time they get onto the call, then they are already the type of people that I really want to work with. And it's just talking details and,
right.
And signing the contract kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm working on right now to put in place. But before that, I hustle quite a lot. I find the easiest way to get clients is through personal connection. Mm-hmm. So, I love being in Facebook groups or even in paid group scenarios and masterminds and that kind of thing. And just really being of service with people inside those groups and really helping them with the problems that they have, but not so much that you kind of giving your services away for free. You kind of need to have that balance there. You just need to give enough to get them interested. And then, then they have to pay you to, mm-hmm. to, solve the entire problem.
Yeah.
But yes, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Marketing is relationships and it continues. I mean, that's how you started and that really never goes away. Humans do business with humans and not businesses, right? So that's okay. That's really good. And you said that you're working on kind of automating that system a little bit, figuring out ways, especially if you're bringing on team members, figuring out ways to spend less time on generating leads and more time really just getting on the phone with people. So if whatever can get them on the phone with you in a more automated, efficient way, that's going to allow you to build your agency a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger. That's really smart. Where's your focus at for the year of 2018? Any big plans, visions, goals that you're trying to hit?
I'm trying to, I'm raising my prices and I'm building my team and then setting up the marketing funnel. I think those are my three main goals for this year.
Yeah, those are big things. I mean, those are big things. As you build a team, it warrants a price increase because you now are not only buying Michaela's brain, but you're buying a whole bunch of other savvy brains as well, so they take the load off of you. So that makes a whole lot of sense. And that's a whole big shift. Michaela, how long have you been in business? When did you really start this journey?
Well, I started freelancing, which I count as being in business since I started working with clients. That was about 8 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
So I've been doing this for 8 years. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's so much experience that takes such a load off of the client when they know that they're in hands of someone that's been in there for so long. That's cool. So, yes. All right. So I would love to know what inspires you in your work.
The beach.
I was going to say, you and I live very different lives, and I am just enamored by it. Like, I love going to your website. I love looking at those pictures. You and your surfboard. I've always loved that picture that you have. Yeah. Tell us about your love for the beach. Like, how does that come up in your life, and how does that come up in your work?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, well, like you say, like the beach just calms me down and really
Mm-hmm.
gets me to focus. And I think being a creative, just have not working on weekends and stopping, let's say at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and going down to the beach to play beach bats or go for a surf or something like that is so important, especially for me. That just refuels me so I can be creative again the next day. So many times I would sit with a problem with a client in the sense that there's so many avenues that I can go in to solve the problem, and I'm not sure what avenue to take. And then I would just sleep on it. And then the next morning I would just know my answer. So just that rest and taking that break, and I have a very strict rule of not working on weekends. And that has saved me, like honestly, just
Mm-hmm.
living my life and enjoying my life, and having those boundaries of this is where work stops and this is where play starts, kind
Yeah.
of thing really, really, really helps. Yeah.
Thanks for saying that, because I mean, I needed that reminder too. So I'm sure someone else did as well that's listening. For the listener who is not proud of their website right now, what resources would you suggest them plugging into to learn and start changing that website up so it really actually works for them and something that they can be proud of? Like, where should they go? What should they do?
Okay, I always say start with your ideal client.
Mm,
So the key is to not build a website that you like. The key is to build a website that your ideal client likes, because you are building it for them. You wanting them to take action on your website. And I think that's the biggest mistake a lot of people make. So they choose colors and branding that they like, but it's not necessarily the colors and branding or message that their ideal client would connect with
hmm
and take action. So it's very important to start with them. So what I would do is really think about your ideal client and what their problems are, and what problem you're really solving for them. What does their life really look like before they start working with you? Like how horrible really is it? Really digging in on that. And sometimes, like for example, with a photographer, it's their life is actually not horrible. Maybe they just got engaged. Let's say you're a wedding photographer and the couple just got engaged. So their problem is not a bad thing. They're super excited. They're getting married. So it doesn't always need to be a negative thing. It can be a positive thing too. But really dig into what is their life like before they start working with you, and then looking at the clients that you've already have, and how did you change their life. What does their life look like afterwards? What is the outcome that you are creating for them? And then using that and developing your messaging around that and putting that onto your website, that will get a lot of people to take action. It's a quick and easy fix to get people to start taking action on your website. And then we start looking at the website layout and how can we improve that. And that is from the design's perspective, how can we get people to click on certain buttons and that kind of stuff. But the starting point is with your ideal client.
Good reminder. I think it's so easy, especially as a creative entrepreneur. It's so you start teaching yourself how to put a website together, and you get better at it and better at it, over the years, and you start clicking around and making edits, and just it's so hard as the business owner to detach from the way that it looks in your eyes to then try to look at it from the ideal client perspective. And so that was a really good reminder. It actually makes me want to go into my websites and like just look at them again, from that perspective. And that's me. I mean, I do this stuff all day, and yet I still feel like, yeah, I could really use that perspective again. Just another round, just looking at it that way. So thank you for that reminder. One last question we have to end with. I would love for you to look back and tell us, what advice would you give to yourself when you were first starting out your business? That girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, trying to figure all of this out. What would you say to her?
Um, that this is a journey. and everybody's journey looks different. One key thing that I probably missed when I started out was that I need to define what success looks like to me. And I need to decide what is going to be successful, the mindset work that goes around it. And that when I did that switch and I really decided, okay, successful looks like this, that I don't have to work on weekends, so that I can take a month off at the end of the year and go travel with my husband. That is what success looks like to me. Then I actually stopped comparing myself to the other people around me. And I stopped actually looking at my competitors or anything, what they were doing, because I'm not worried about what they're doing, because I know what I want and what I want my business to be like and how I want my business to be successful. And also looking at, what do I want for my clients? Like, the success that I want to create for my clients, the outcome that I want to create for them, looking at that and really focusing on that and honing in my skills so that I can really provide that outcome that I want to give to my clients really well. So yes, like that, this is a journey, and, sometimes things will go well, sometimes things will go bad, and you just kind of have to go with it. And that's okay. Sometimes you're not going to get the numbers of signups that you were hoping for, and then that just means you have to go look back and learn from what just happened, kind of learn from it and carry on. But if you always are focused on what success looks to you and what success looks like to your clients, then that really helps you to pull through.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with that. That's so good. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Such good advice. We've heard this idea in various ways throughout, the life of this podcast, and it keeps coming up. And I love that it keeps coming up because it's something that we're constantly battling, that, looking around and comparing, just because it's, it's a natural thing. We have to make sure that we're on the right track. And how do we do that? We look up, we compare, we see who's in front, who's behind. But that can really be a sucky place to be as a business owner. So here we are, we're hearing it from Michaela. Think about what success looks like for you, not based on anybody else. That can be a huge, big, eye-opening question. So thank you for that, Michaela. So before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
Okay, so my website is beachside.studio. So that's quite easy, beachside.studio. So they can find me there. They can also find me on Instagram. I love Instagram. And I'm just at Beachside Studio on Instagram. Perfect. And those are the two places. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, you heard her, girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and then hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Michaela over the next few days.